You should just be able to interchange when you say it, if you say through it, and then you're really close to somebody else, and then when you come back, it's like you try to open it, and then you have to signal this.
Yeah. No, actually.
Just click in this. Will it always take me back to the first slide? Or go back to the oh yeah. Okay, I love it. Well, so smart. Okay, and we're already zooming.
Yeah. Yes, so we're live and you're up on the screen, so you're good to go whenever you like.
Okay, everybody, we're going to start our prep to get paid 2.0 so you guys can see the new updates to Command and how to submit your commissions and all the fun things. So if you want to have a seat, we'll get started real quick. We've got Mid-Valley joining us via Zoom. So hi, Mid-Valley as well. Okay, that's fine. Okay, for those of you joining us on Zoom, if you have a question, instead of putting it in the chat, because I don't have anyone monitoring the chat right now, if you just want to unmute yourself and pipe up, then we will get to whatever questions you have. So thanks everybody for coming. I'm sure some of you have noticed some changes this last week or so in Command as you've been putting in your opportunities and things look a little different and are acting a little bit different. So I wanted to go through and we're going to do contract to close, and then we're going to do some special attention on those new areas. So if you're a new agent and you're wanting to just know, hey, what do I do with these documents and things? What do I need to do to get paid? We're going to go through that from A to Z. If you're TCs or, seasoned agents as well that just want to see the changes, we'll be spending a lot of time going in depth through those changes that we have. Any questions on what we're covering or anything before we start? All right. If you have your laptop, you can log into your Command, and we're going to start in contacts. And I have to apologize. I've had so much caffeine today that I am like shaking everywhere. I promise I'm not like scared of you guys or anything. I'm just like about to jitter out of my seat. All right. This is my contact info. If you guys have any questions or you get in to do this afterwards and you're like, dang, I can't remember what she said, shoot me a text, shoot me an email. I'm happy to help you. Priyanka, our assistant MCA, she is also wonderful and she's very familiar with the new system as well. So either of us are here to support you guys. Okay, so we're going to do the new contact to close. I'm going to go through some of the slides, and then I'm going to actually just flip over to Command, and we're just going to go through and do it together so you can see what it actually looks like. So we'll be starting at agent.kw.com. If you haven't been there before, hopefully everybody has. And we're going to start with contacts. So the very first thing that we do as real estate agents is meet people, right? Whenever we meet a person, we want to add them to our database. So Command is our database. So we want to add as many contacts as we can. How many agents in here or on Zoom do you know if you're in the 201 club? And do you know what that is? So it is a super awesome club that means you have at least 201 contacts in your database. And it has been proven that if you have at least 201 contacts in your database is primed to bring you business if you work it properly. So we're going to talk about how to add these contacts in. Okay, so this is going to be what your dashboard looks like. Anytime in Command, when you're going to make something new, it's going to be on the upper right-hand corner and it's going to say add or new or whatever. That's how you're going to start. So we're going to click add contact and it's going to bring up these contact fields. Anything that has an asterisk by it is required, but you'll notice there are not a lot of asterisks on here. You can actually enter in a contact with as little information as just their name. Granted, with just their name, Command can't be very smart for you. So the more information that you have that you can put in, the smarter it will be. So if you have their phone number, you can set up for text reminders or do text through Twilio. If you have their email, you can put them on an email campaign through Smart Plans. If you have their address, it can put them on neighborhood nurtures and those types of things. So the more information you put in, the smarter it's going to be, okay? Once you've got all that information in, you'll just hit correct or create, sorry. Any questions on that? Okay, so here's where the fun begins. Opportunities can be used in a couple different ways. They are how we get paid, how we upload all of our documents, how we submit it to the Market Center, but also they can be your pipeline. So you'll notice, I'm going to jump out of here and go into my command here. So in my command, if I click on this handshake, which is the opportunities icon, you're going to see all of these different stages and phases. So cultivate is planting that seed. It's just I've met someone and they might be interested in real estate at some point. They may not be a client of yours yet, but you're cultivating that relationship. You can create an opportunity under cultivate. And then you can log on here and see on your pipeline, how many people do I have that I am cultivating a relationship with? When was the last time I talked to them? What do I need to do to move them to the next phase? And obviously our goal for the next phase is to get an appointment. So as you move them through this stage, you can move them from cultivate to I've landed an appointment. Then we're active and we're looking at houses. We are under contract. We're getting ready to close. So this can not only be your CRM, but it can also be your pipeline. Does that make sense to everybody? So even if you don't have anything under contract right now, you could have opportunities in here right now. Okay, is that new to anybody? Okay. Let me go back here. So we're going to create a new opportunity. All opportunities are connected to your contact. They're not connected to the address. And that's really important because let's say that you have buyers and you're showing them lots of houses and you're doing lots of offers. And maybe you go under contract on a deal and the inspection comes back bad and you cancel and you go under contract on another one. You don't want all of these multiple opportunities under that same contact. It just makes it messy and all of your stuff's all over. So the opportunities are connected to the contact. So you will come under, you can go right under their contact card and click create opportunity, or you can go into the opportunity, the handshake icon, and click create opportunity from there. Again, the first information it's going to ask for you, not everything is required. The more information you give it, the smarter it can be with it. On this key information page, what's nice with this is anything that you enter in here will talk and connect with DocuSign. So it saves you from having to duplicate everything when you start your envelope in DocuSign to send documents. If you fill this out with their email and all of their information, that will pull into DocuSign for you. Any questions so far? Okay. One of the new things with Command is we've always seen this select from listings, but it used to be that we could go in and just put in an address here, and a lot of times that was fine, and it would just take it. But now if you are on the listing side, it wants to connect you to a listing. It doesn't just want the address, it wants the listing. So as KW agents, we as KW pay for a service called List Hub. And it basically goes into the MLS and grabs all of our listings and imports them into the KWLS, which is how it populates the app and all that kind of stuff. So we have access to all of the Keller Williams listings. If you find yours are not being pulled in, you need to let me know. We need to make sure that your MLS ID is linked to our List Hub subscription and that yours are being pulled in. Yeah, what we'll probably want to do is go in and make sure that his MLS ID is linked on his KW profile. Either way, but if his are not pulling in, then that is something that we need to fix. And I'll show you the workaround for that, but we want it to be really easy. So we don't want you to have to enter in all of them by hand if they're not pulling in. Let me show you what it would look like here on a listing. So I have an active listing right now that I haven't done anything with other than I started the opportunity and I sent all the listing paperwork and got everything signed through DocuSign. So with listing opportunities, you don't have to submit them to the Market Center until you get it under contract, because that List Hub will pull in the listing. So we know that it exists and we know it's there, but we don't really have anything to take through compliance until it goes under contract. So what I would need to do here is connect my listing to this. So I don't even have the address in here, but if I were to come over and say that I wanted to do an offer, it's going to automatically say, okay, we need the address, select from the KWLS. So what's nice is I can just come in here and I can say, well, just show me my listings, and it's going to bring up all of my listings. And you can scroll through, find the one you're looking for, and just hit select. If it's not pulling yours, then you just need to let me know and we'll get that fixed for you. What we would do in the meantime, so that there was no wait time for you getting this in, is you could just send me the information and I will manually add it on the back end on our side so that it shows up for you. But we'll get that fixed. Yeah, Debbie? So there's a couple reasons why one might not show up. If it is not put on the MLS, like if it's a new construction, those aren't going to show up. Or if it was, anything that where it wasn't actually put onto the MLS, those will have to be manually added, which is fine. If it is, and it's just a weird fluky thing, we can throw it in on the back end. As long as it's not happening every time you're trying to pull in a listing, then you're probably okay, because you're either connected or you're not. So there might be some weird flukes, but if you come on and you don't have any of these listings showing up, then let me know. We need to make sure that your connection is correct.
Amy, we can't hear the questions if they're not using the mic.
You are right. Who can pass this around for me? I need a helper. You can be my helper. Here, you can ask your question first. Yeah.
Well, at least the comment.
I hear her. Zoom.
Hello. Can you hear me?
I'm gonna make sure I turned it on right.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, good.
I find that when it is a fluke, if you just go to all listings, you can typically just find it. Because
Perfect.
there's that option where it's like only my listings or all listings. Mostly find it. Okay.
Here, let's get another mic so we can. Well, I don't know where another mic is. So there have been some issues. I'll just kind of repeat what she's saying here about getting listings connected. The workaround here as well, you can click create MC exclusive listing. This just means my listing didn't show up. I don't know why it didn't show up. I'm just going to put it in. So you can click create MC exclusive listing and it's going to have you put in all of this information and save it. And then you can select it and it'll connect it to your opportunity. So that's the workaround, but I don't want you guys to have to do that on everyone. So if they're not syncing right, let's get it fixed. Okay. Awesome. And yeah, that's a good tip as well. You can always click on, so here under the KWLS, you can go from show only my listings to show all listings or show my market center listings. And you can use that to search as well. Okay, so we're adding all of our information in here into our opportunity. Yeah.
There's no question, maybe random, not related to this main topic right now. Command allows you to get some other users with limited access. For example, if I want to have like, some person that doesn't see, anything related to my commission, but just, the contacts and opportunities and all the pipeline.
The different
Is that-
admin
yeah.
stuff.
Do we have the option to customize that?
I'm not sure if you can customize the permissions. You can add on, everyone has the capability to add on an admin that isn't licensed without it being a team or anything like that. I think they're able to see everything though, but we could talk with Kimber and see if there's any way you can, trim down what their access is. Okay, so we talked about what select from listings means. If you're doing the buyer side, it's not going to require you to connect it to it because it may not be a KW listing. So yeah, it'll just have the regular address. This is listing specific. Good question. Okay, so now we're here at this main page. Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Nope.
I have found putting in buyer, it still has to be, like if it's a new construction.
It has to be a
home,
real address.
yeah,
It
you
has to
still
recognize
have
the
to
address.
plug, but like even, so I do stuff for South Valley proper. And when they have a buyer and like Tracy, for example, I represent her and she has a buyer going under contract or new construction, but it's not listed on the MLS, I still have to create.
Yeah, if the address
KWLS
isn't going to
thing.
pull, because this connects like to, I don't know, Google Maps or something. So you start typing in the address and it's going to pull up and then you'll select the right one. If it doesn't show new construction, then you probably are going to have to go in and actually put that in because that address doesn't fully exist yet, if that makes sense. And then it'll be able to link to that. So this is the main page here where we check what type of deal it is. So we want to be specific whether we're doing commercial, residential, or if it's a lease. And this is going to be a little different for our Mid-Valley friends. I want to show you what this looks like. So the checklists have changed a little bit. Oh, I want to just go into command. Go back into my opportunities. Let's just look at one of these. Okay, so if I'm in my documents tab here, I've selected from this drop down that this is a residential contract. So that brings up these three folders here: consultation, under contract, and closed. So most of us, I think, are using these in the right way, but I know in Mid-Valley, they weren't using the consultation folder and everything was just going into the under contract folder, which is fine, but I'll show you why that makes it a little bit tricky. So if we talked about buyers canceling, going under contract on new properties, we don't want a bunch of new opportunities because it's linked to the contact, right? And you had this question and I knew I was going to answer it for you today. So when we have a cancellation, what we're going to do is we're going to come here and we are going to click on this arrow and say add version. And that is going to bring us up a whole new blank checklist, but just of the under contract stuff, because all of our consultation documents stayed the same. It's the same client. So all of our buyer broker agreement, buyer due diligence, wire fraud, all of those documents are still accurate and working regardless of the new contract. So if you click add version, now I have a new blank copy of the under contract checklist. So I can put in all of my new forms. And if for some reason who knows, down the line, you need to go back and reference that original contract, you can just toggle back to that other version and all of those documents are still there. So it lets you really have a good comprehensive record of everything that you're doing. You can do as many versions as you need. I mean, hopefully for your sake, it's not that many because that's rough stuff. But so that's how you would handle a cancellation. Also make sure if there was a cancellation that you add that document, the cancellation document, into the under contract folder. Mid-Valley, do you guys have any questions on the consultation folder?
Sorry, where did you say that is on under contract? I'm not seeing, I can't see on mine.
Sorry, what were we asking for? The add version?
Oh, thank you. Okay.
Add version's under the little triangle diamond arrow thing. Add version. So we're going to add all of our consultation documents into consultation. And I have updated this checklist for Mid-Valley. So by the end of the day, you guys will start seeing this same checklist here showing what documents are required for the consultation. Again, consultation, you don't have to submit to the Market Center until you get it under contract. So we'll review all of those consultation documents and your contract at the same time. Does that make sense? Okay. So under contract, it's just going to have your documents for your contract. So we've got the rep C, earnest money receipt, your MLS printout or escrow instructions, the inspection or the for-year protection waiver, the executed seller's disclosures, and a PR commitment for title. Those are the required documents for any basic buyer transaction. But lots of times there's other documents we need, right? Rather than flooding the checklist with a lot of optional, maybe required, you might need this, you might not need this. You can just come up here and do add document. And let's say I have an addendum to the Rep C. Okay, it's addendum 1 here in document name. Document type, it's an addendum. Select addendum and then come down here. It'll show everything in your DocuSign room. So you can pull it straight from DocuSign into the checklist, or you can switch this here to my computer and just upload it from your computer. So anytime you have any additional addendums, anything your client signs, that's the basic rule. If your client signs it, it needs to be put through compliance. So if we have like here, HOA docs, well, my client didn't sign them. They're just for information. I can put them here in a custom folder. They don't really need to go through compliance. We just need to know that I have them. So anything that your client doesn't sign that you want to keep and have in your transaction, you can do here with add new custom folder, name it whatever you need. It might be, you know, pictures of the property or a plat map or anything like that, you know, a letter from the buyer or whatever. Not that we use those are terrible. Yes, the HOA docs are required if there's an HOA. We need to have the minutes and budget and all of that stuff. But you don't necessarily have to put them in the checklist and submit them. They need to be in here. We need to see that you got them and you reviewed them. Yeah, question back?
Recently, I was told that all of our emails and texts need to be put inside a file for compliance. Is that true or no?
I have heard that, but that would be a broker specific thing. So you would want to check with Mike and Lindsay. And if that is the case, they can be added here to a custom folder and you can just upload all of them there into a custom folder so that you have those. I know that's somewhat relatively new. I've seen it kind of going around. So we'll probably want to check with our brokers on that and see if that's something that they want us to add on there.
Amy,
Yes,
can I ask a question?
of course you can.
When you say that the list of documents from DocuSign rooms is available, is
Mhm.
that only if we create the rooms through command, or if we have, since the DocuSign accounts are linked to our Keller Williams ID, is it as long as we
Great
created a room for
question.
that client, does it work?
Whenever you are using DocuSign, access it through command. That is going to, if I come here to, it'll say start transaction. I've done this one before. So once you've done it the first time, it'll say go to transaction when you come back. This launches DocuSign. And this will create a room based off of that information. Remember how I told you when you put the detail information in, it'll talk to DocuSign? So this will take that information and create a room for your client that is synced to Command. So then anything that you put in that DocuSign, have your client sign, is then accessible through Command by just clicking on that add from DocuSign, and it'll show you everything that's in that DocuSign room. If you sign in outside of Command, that connection isn't made. So then you just have to download the PDF and upload it through your browser. It's not, world ending or anything. But if you want to have that sync between them, so like here I can do DocuSign and Room Docs. If I wanted to add a new doc, it shows me everything that I have in that room already. So I can just click on that and it will add it to my opportunity. Does that make sense?
It does. So if we've already created a room and we're just at the buyer broker agreement is all that's been done so far, is there a way to create a room through Command and then just move that document from the room we created originally
Yeah.
in DocuSign and move
You
it
would
over?
just come here and do start transaction, have it create the room for your client, and then you could go in and pull that document into this new room, and then it'll show up on the list.
Okay, cool. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so good question. So that's how this go to transaction, that is how you sync it to DocuSign. All right, so once we've got all of our documents in, we need to turn them into the Market Center so that they can go through compliance. So both of our Market Centers use the same compliance genius named Randy, and he's wonderful. And you can select all of them by clicking there. If you don't need to submit all of them, you can just select the one you need, and you'll just hit, this will be submit to Market Center if you haven't submitted them before. If you're resubmitting them, it says resubmit to Market Center. That sends all of those files over to Randy so he can go in and he can look at them and make sure that everything is in there as it should be to protect your license. If he comes back and says, hey, I'm famous for forgetting to sign my own buyer brokers, I'll have my client sign them and then I won't sign them. And so he'll come back and I will see a little message, a little chat message. I'll find one for you guys to show you in red. And if you click on that, it'll open up a chat box and Randy will say, Amy, you need to sign your buyer broker agreement and re-upload. And then I know, okay, that's why that document got returned to me. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to sign that and I'm going to re-upload it. And then I'm going to resubmit just that document. Does that make sense? So let me pull up one of these that has gone through compliance. Oh, nope. Just kidding, honestly. If I go to all opportunities, it's going to pull up all of my opportunities historically, right? So this is where you can come in and find anything if you needed to find something that you'd already closed on. Let me see, which one would be a good one? So here I've got all my information. I come to my documents. I've got my listed folder has been approved. All of my consultation documents in there. Randy reviewed them. He said it's approved. My under contract documents, approved. Everything's in there. If I come into my under contract list, everything is green. So that's what you want to see before you get to closing, right? So everything needs to be submitted and green. If it says returned, that doesn't mean that anything was wrong. There's a couple different statuses. There's approved, there's returned, and there's rejected. So if he rejects it, then you need to look at why and you need to fix it and re-upload a new one. Return might just mean that he's like, yeah, that looks good. I'm just sending it back to you. It's like a volleyball game. He may not be ready to approve the whole folder, but I looked at these are good. I'm returning it to you. That's a question I get a lot of, why was this returned? No, it's because he was done looking at it. So you can go in and add more stuff. It doesn't necessarily mean that there was anything wrong with it. If there's something wrong with it, you'll see a little chat box next to the document or a chat box next to the folder telling you, what was missing or what needs to be added. Does that make sense? So here, if you do add comment, let's say that I have a question for him. He hasn't said anything to me yet. I don't have that chat box already showing, but I have a question for Randy. He told me that I needed seller's disclosures but this is new construction and the builder didn't provide me seller's disclosures, but he's not approving my opportunity because they're missing. So I can just come in here and you can tag people directly in here. Let's do the @, type in R for Randy, he's right here, Randall Betty's, and you can say, hey, this is new construction and seller's disclosures are not provided by the builder. He'll come back and say, okay, and then your file will get approved. So he's really, really easy to communicate with, and he's on here and checking these multiple times every day. So the turnaround time is very quick. So if you have questions or issues, especially with like new construction ones, or sometimes there's, just special circumstances around deals where maybe you won't have a certain document, this is where you can communicate with him and figure out what you need for that. Any questions on these? Yeah. Yeah. She has a question on the cancellation.
Thank you. Do you have to do anything on the commissions tab? Do you have to go in and?
Yes.
that.
So
Okay.
if you've already submitted the commission tab and the offer fails, you can go in and request a termination. And it will send me a notice that says Jamie's requested a termination on this particular one. So I could go in and cancel that out. And then the new offer that you've put in behind it, I can then go in and accept that and pull that into the system. So you'll just want to accept a termination or request a termination on that. Cool. Okay. So everything on here that is required will be marked. You can add additional documents. Whatever you need, you're just going to do add document. Anything that your client signs, you're going to send to Randy for compliance. Any other questions on the under contract checklist? So far, this is all still pretty much the same, except for the little bit of the checklist change for Mid-Valley. The closed checklist. This has changed for both market centers a little bit. So you don't have to do anything in the closed folder. We do everything in the closed folder for you. So when we get your check from title, we're going to upload a copy of the check and CD right here so that you always have a copy of your settlement statement and commission check. That's loaded for you. And then when we go in and process the transaction, we're going to put in a copy of your DA, which is basically your transaction receipt, where all the pieces of money were all split up, all those pieces of the pie where everything went. What's new here are these DA details. So I'll show you guys what a new DA looks like. But basically you'll have your main summary page. And then for each agent on the deal, they're going to have their own detail page. It used to lump it all into one PDF and you just have multiple pages. These are now separate documents. So we've put a home for them on the checklist. So you'll have DA details number 1. That's going to be you, the main agent. If you're the only agent on there, that's where your details are. If you're on a team and there's multiple agents, then you'll see additional ones with their details on there for however many agents are on the deal. Does that make sense? Okay. Any questions on the checklist, how to send things to compliance, how to communicate with compliance, etc.?
Amy, I've got a question.
Yeah.
Where would you put referral documents? Like if you had a referral that you had to pay someone?
Awesome. Yes. So I would put that on the under contract. On the under contract list, I would just do add document. And remember, for a referral, we need their W-9 and the referral form so that we know who we're paying, how we're paying, and we are compliant with the IRS that we have their tax information for their brokerage, not for them, but for their
Got it.
brokerage.
Awesome.
So
Thank
that
you.
would go on the under contract folder, because if we had a new contract, that referral wouldn't apply anymore. So
Mm,
when we added a new version, that would be archived and you'd have a fresh checklist.
got it.
Cool. All right. Any other questions on documents before we move over?
Yes, I need to clarify that with the referral part.
Sure.
So if we're paying a referral, but we don't have them as a client because we referred them away, where are we?
So
Like,
if
how
you
are we
are
connecting that in
receiving the
command? Like,
money
I'm lost,
because
sorry.
you gave a referral, if I refer my sister to Janet and Janet helps her and Janet pays me a referral fee for helping my sister, I don't need any documentation for that. That's just going to come to the market center and it will be paid out to me as a referral. But if Janet was with a different KW market center, she's going to need a copy of our referral agreement and KW South Valley's W-9 for me because that brokerage is paying me money. Does that make sense? So if we are paying another agent, we need their brokerage's W-9 and their tax info and referral form. If you're receiving money from another agent, we don't.
Okay, no, I understand that part. What I don't understand is just following up with what Audrey asked. If it sounds like we need to be storing some of that referral information paperwork in command. And like if we need their W-9, but if the client they're helping is not in my command, where do I store that? Say like it's my sister's friend that lives in another state and I'm just helping her find an agent in that other state. And
That doesn't have to be stored in command. You would just want to hang on to that for your own records.
Okay, yeah.
But it's
Sorry, I
not
was
part
just
of an
lost.
active transaction within our market center. So it's not something you would have to have uploaded into command at this time. But I have heard that they might be changing the referral pipeline. So that might change in the future. But for now, you could just save that in your email or, you know, on a folder on your desktop so you could reference it if you needed to go back to it.
Okay, thanks for that clarification. Sorry if that got confusing.
Nope, you're good. Okay.
On referrals, we don't make an opportunity.
No.
If we're receiving money.
Not right
we don't
now.
make an opportunity right
That
now.
might change in the future, but right now, if you're receiving a referral, you don't have to make an opportunity. It will be really nice if they change that, honestly, because we don't know, Priyanka and I don't know when you all are getting referral checks. And a lot of times we'll get this referral check from another state and they put an address on the bottom and no agent name. And we're like, oh, poop, who does this referral go to? And so a lot of times you guys are reaching out to us saying, hey, I'm expecting a referral from Texas when you see it. And we've got like a little, you know, tracker going on so that we can tell when they come in. And a lot of times we have to go and call that brokerage and say, hey, we got this check. Who's the agent on it? So it would kind of be nice if there was a system where those were entered in and we could find them and figure that out. Right now, it doesn't exist. So you don't have to create an opportunity if you're receiving a referral. But maybe let us know so we can get it to you as quick as possible. Okay. Any other questions on referrals? And we'll kind of see how you enter those as we move into the offers and commissions. All right, let me go back. I sell Kimber a lot of houses when I teach classes. She's like always my, let me see if this will show. Okay, so this is what your new offers and commissions look like. So all I did here was I came into offers and commissions and said, I want to add a new offer. So you'll see here, these are new. These offer acceptance requirements. The property address, property type, the classification, the total units, cash, contract date, etc., are required to accept the offer. So all of these things here are required. And this is where the address is going to need to exist, or it's going to need to, you know, find it from the KWLS. If these are left blank, even if you hit submit, it's not going to go anywhere. So property type, you need to let us know what kind it is. We're just going to click residential. And the classification, if it's resale, new home, multifamily, etc. So we'll just say resale. And then down here, total units. This is new as well. So every house is 1 unit. So typically 90% of all of your transactions, you're going to be 1 unit. I'm selling 1 house. The only time it would maybe be more is if you were dual siding the transaction. So you're representing the buyer side and the seller side. So you're kind of selling the same house twice, if that makes sense. So then your unit could be 2. But there's also, you can do it either way. You can do it that way, or you can do 2 opportunities because they're going to have all different documents, right? You're going to have all the seller documents and all the buyer documents. So a lot of people will just do 2 opportunities. We're going to get 2 checks from title. We're going to process them separately. You get credit for both units. Some people do put them together in 1 opportunity. That's where it would come out to be 2 units. Does that make sense? Or if you had a multiplex, something like that. If this was commercial, this changes to square footage. So instead of units, you can get credit for the square footage of what you're selling. If I were to change this to like land, well, now it wants to know what the acreage was. That's all new and cool ways that we can now recognize agents for what they're doing in the commercial and land development areas. Because a lot of times they get passed by if they had, you know, oh, 1 unit. Oh, well, that 1 unit was $35 million, was this huge thing, but yet it's not recognized that way. So this is a great way for us to be able to recognize what people in those divisions are doing. So make sure though, that you only click land or commercial if it is land or commercial. Yes, Kai. Yep, you would put the square footage of the hotel if it was a commercial hotel. Yes. If it was land, you'd put, you know, it was a 100-acre lot or whatever, and you'd put in 100 acres. We did have in some of the market centers that switched over, some agents when they were putting in their opportunity, put square footage or acreage in on the units instead. And that really messes up reports because you're not going to sell, you know, a 14,000 units on one deal. So just make sure if it's residential, you've got units and it's typically going to just be 1. If it's land or commercial, that's where these will change what you're putting in. Does that make sense? That's new. The buyer information here, this one isn't required, but you can put whether they were pre-approved or pre-qualified. And then you've got the buyer's agent representation. Oh, look, Debbie Tyler bought this one from Kimber, or he sold this one to Kimber. That was really nice of him to do that. And it was $501,000. That's a really good deal for them. And he was planning on putting $1,000 down. It's a great deal. Those are required fields. The interest or the earnest percentage is not required, and the earnest amount, but you're going to want to put it in there. But it doesn't have to be the percentage. You can do the percentage or the amount. Contract date. It has been historically that you can only put a contract date in the month that you're in. So regardless of if I actually put this under contract in June and I'm just now, which no one would ever do because you guys are wonderful and you'd never wait a whole month after you went under contract to do your opportunity. But if you did, it used to be you had to say July. The date had to be in July. You now have the capability, you can backdate your contract date. You can say this actually went under contract in June. However, for awards, you skipped getting recognized in June for putting that under contract because it wasn't in the system. So now if you date it in June, we're not going to know that you did it in June. We've already done an award. So if you put it in July, at least we're going to see, oh, look, she's got a new contract in July. So that the contract date doesn't really matter to us. So if you want to just put it in July so that you get recognized for that, that's fine. If you are like, I don't care, I just want it to be exactly when I had it go under contract, that's fine too. But that's new that we can actually backdate. Before it would not let us do that at all. The closing date, you're going to put in your very best estimate. It's okay if it's not perfect. And typically, as it gets closer to that closing date, Priyanka and I start reaching out to you and you'll see texts or emails that say, hey, is this still going to close by the end of this month? Because we're trying to get our numbers and projections all in line for the market center. And you can say, oh, that got bumped to August. And I'll say, okay, cool. I'll come in and change the date for you. So it just helps us as far as planning what deals are going to close and when. And there might be a case where it's like, oh, that one just canceled. And then we can help you process that. So closing date is your best estimation at the time it goes under contract. Here are any additional information about the offer. So when this counts as a contract written to the market center, so you know in awards we do listings taken, contracts written, closed units. This counts as a written contract once it is saved and accepted in command. That's when we know that you've now written this contract. If that makes sense. Let me see what it'll probably make me put in a few fields here. So I can go to the next page. Let's go residential. All right, any questions on those before we move over to the commission side?
Where are the comments going? Are they going to you? Are they going to Randy? Where are the comments going?
These comments, they will be visible in the transaction side of ours. They do not go to Randy. But we will be able to see them when we pull up the transaction on the back end. There will be a tab that says notes and we can click on it and it'll bring up any notes that you've put in about the transaction. Oh, this doesn't want it to be in the past. See if that'll let me save that one. Okay. So my offer has been updated. So now it,
Amy, I had one quick question
yeah, no, go ahead.
about the earnest money place.
Mhm.
I know when we very first started this, sometimes we'd put that earnest money in and it would screw it up. And so they said, just leave it blank. So I've never put that in. Do you reference that or are we okay? I know it doesn't have an asterisk by it, but
We don't use it for anything. It's
Okay.
really for your records.
Okay.
It doesn't affect the way we would pay out your commission at all.
okay, so we don't. Okay.
So yeah, if it's not required to let you save it without it, that's fine. Okay, so this is all new here. This looks different. This is different. This is the commission overview. There's a few things I've learned over the last week with it being our first week in transactions. It was kind of trial by fire and we learned a lot of new little quirks and things. You want to start here at the commission overview when you are doing your commission. So we're going to come in here into the edit. Most of these are going to be, same sales price. Yep. Same, still 1 unit. My close date's still what I thought it would be. So mine is all balanced. Then I come here to my buyer commission. Here's something that I found. So when you're looking at commission amount on this section, don't get stuck on the word commission. Think of this as, this is what I am expecting my check from title to look like. So if you have a transaction fee, which this system refers to as a bonus, but let's say you charge $3.95 on every deal. Well, my 3% commission is saying I should get, $15,030, but my check from title is going to be that plus $3.95. So on this commission amount, I want to put the total amount that I'm expecting from my title check. So I would add my $3.95 onto that. Does that make sense? Yeah.
So say that you're not capped, but you have that $3.95 fee, you're not taking from that $3.95 fee, correct?
No, we're not. And I'll
But
show you where you can select that as well. So here I would put, 15,000. I don't know, what's quick math? What's 395 plus 30?
So you add that into the commission amount up there rather than going into the ad
Yes.
bonus.
So this would be your commission plus your transaction fee. And then down here, you're going to say, okay, well, 395 of this was commission. But if I didn't add this on there and I try to say I have a 395 bonus, it's saying, well, you're short 395 because you already said your commission was 3% and that's how much that is. So we can't add in your transaction bonus because now you're short money. So when you get an error like that, that's going to be like, okay, I didn't add it up here, so it doesn't know to disperse it. Does that make sense? So if you add that on there, I won't do head math in front of a group of people because that would be embarrassing. Let me see. So if we have 15,030 plus 395. So my total check that I am expecting from the title company is going to be 15,425. Does that make sense to everybody? And then I've got my bonus of 395. So it's okay if you get little errors here. Just make sure that that is correct as far as what you're doing. This here, this bonus split with Market Center, if you have this marked, it means that it will take that bonus and it will take your split out of it with the Market Center, that you're giving some of that to the Market Center. We don't take part of your transaction fees. So this can be toggled off always. Those go completely directly to you. Here is where you would put outside referrals. those also.
Wait, Amy, can I ask a question going back to that thing?
Mhm.
If someone, because this is new, if someone forgot to toggle that off, would the market center get a percentage then if you weren't capped of the
Priyanka and
395?
I would override that.
Okay,
There would be a slim chance that there might be human error and it might take a little bit of that, but typically we will look at that and make sure that it all goes to the associate. But it's going to be easier for us if it's toggled on so that we don't have to make sure. But if ever
yeah,
we did,
understood.
let us know and we'll fix it for you. That's the wonderful thing is everything is fixable.
Thank you.
So any mistakes we can take care of. So up here in the commission overview, I skipped over this a little bit. You can come up here and click edit, update, and it opens up all of these additional things. So here you can put in, we don't track concessions. Don't put concessions in. We go just straight off of what the title check is. So if you donated $450 to their home warranty, that's awesome. But I don't need to know. And it'll make these calculations a little more complicated. On this side, that just comes right out of your side and the check from title is already adjusted and we're just going to pay you off of what we get from title. Does that make sense? So here we can put in that $395 bonus. And it's already letting me know you've over distributed. So we're going to need to adjust that gross agent commission to be, what did I say it was? It was $15,425. Outside referrals, this just wants the amount. So if I'm paying $1,000, then I'm going to put in the amount there. It'll ask me who and everything later. Additional deductions. This is where if you're in South Valley and you're paying an in-market center TC, you would select them from the list. They don't do that in Mid-Valley. Or if you're doing a KW Cares donation that you want to go to the South Valley local branch and not KWRI, you would select that there as well. Yeah, question?
Can we not put in a percentage
For
outside referrals?
you should be able to just put in a dollar amount.
I don't necessarily want to put in a dollar amount. I'd like to put in a percentage.
You want to put in a percentage. On the back end, you can do either. Here,
For example, every one of my transactions will have some sort of percentage
of
split.
outside referral. I think on the other page, it lets you do that, but
Okay.
on this side, I think it wants a dollar amount. So we'll move and see if it lets us select that on the next one. If you are adding a deduction like that KW Cares or in South Valley, a TC, if you click on this add deduction button right here, add deduction, it's going to bring up the list of approved ones for your market center. So this will bring up a list of the TCs that are approved through South Valley. If your TC is not on here, title will need to pay them directly. And if you want to donate to KW South Valley Cares and not KW Cares International, you would just select this here as well. And then you can select the amount. And here you can select the percent. That's nice. See if it's on the outside referrals too. So that's where you would add deductions on. Does that make sense?
Amy,
Yes.
by the same token, if we've signed up to like donate some from every transaction, will that automatically populate there?
Yes. I am working on going in and adding memorized deductions to people who have requested to always have a certain amount taken out for KW Cares. They don't show yet. I haven't done them yet, but I can go in and add those memorized deductions. So they'll just show up on any of your opportunities.
Okay, thanks.
So outside referrals, those are when we are paying another agent from another brokerage. Any portion of our commission, if it's a licensed agent and they're in another brokerage, they are an outside referral. Inside referrals, we don't do. There may be a very small percentage of chance that this situation would come up where you would, but an inside referral means I'm paying someone within my brokerage part of my deal, but I want to pay their cap and royalty and not have them pay their cap and royalty on that deal. The only time you can do that is if you are not capped. So if I'm a rainmaker and I want to pay Janet part of my deal, if I'm capped, it's not going to let me do an inside referral anyways. If you are paying another agent any part of your commission, they need to be added to the deal as an additional agent. We really don't do inside referrals. And if you put them on here, then the system gets all wonky and it kicks out errors. And I've never, in the 11 years I've been doing this here, I have never had a true inside referral situation come up. So don't use inside referral. Questions on that? If you're paying an agent in your market center, any portion of your deal, add them as an additional agent. They don't have to get part of your unit if you don't want them to, because the unit is how we determine volume. So if I don't want to give Janet half of the credit for my deal, but I want to pay her $1,000, I will just add her as an agent at 0 units with $1,000. Does that make sense? If I'm paying an agent outside of my brokerage, any portion of my commission, I will put it in as an outside referral. For our PC coaching clients, this is where you would put in your coaching split as well. We put that in as an outside referral. So typically we hope on those first 3 transactions, you just use a TC so you can focus on the sales side. But if not, this is where you add in your coaching. And if you have a hard time with that, let me know and we'll walk you through it.
Amy?
Yes.
So on the additional deductions, you did say that they could pull their transaction fee. They could put it there if it's being paid to.
Not as a deduction. The transaction fee will just go under bonus. And then when we go into the associate commission screen, you can see how that gets split up. So I said $395 bonus. So now I'm saying, yep, $395 bonus. Now that is balanced. I need to adjust my commission here to the amount that I am getting from title, which was $15,425.
Because I thought you had said that had to be done.
You can, but if you added anything on top of that, like the $395, then you just need to add it on top here. But if you don't charge a transaction fee and you know you're getting a flat 3%, you can just leave this alone. So it's
okay, but can the transaction fee be taken out here, or does it have to be done through title?
The transaction fee is paid through title. It's collected from the clients and added onto your commission on your check.
Okay, but what if the agent isn't charging it to their client? They're just paying it.
The agent paying it?
Yeah, they're paying their transaction coordinator.
Oh, yes. Okay, so that's the deduction side. So this is the income side. So this part is what we're getting from title. The deduction part, yes, that's where you would put how much you'd pay. I'll go back into that in case I made that confusing. I'll show you. So this is where we receive it from title. And I didn't put, this is probably. Let's see if it'll let me move on to the next page because I've put in lots of random numbers. So agent payment down here, this is where you've got these additional deductions. So this is where if you're taking that $395 and you're using it to pay a transaction coordinator, if you're at South Valley, then you can come in here and select your transaction coordinator and put in that you're paying them the $395. And then that's going to add that onto your transaction as a deduction so that we know to pay them. Again, in Mid-Valley, they don't pay TCs directly. That has to be paid through title. So you won't have a list of approved TCs. So that's just a little difference between the two. It's just so it's not confusing or maybe less confusing.
Okay, so you're saying Mid-Valley doesn't have that.
Yes.
It has to be done through the title company. Is that correct?
Sorry, I couldn't hear the question.
So Mid-Valley doesn't have.
Mid-Valley doesn't have a list of approved TCs to select from because they do not pay transaction coordinators directly. Those have to be paid through title.
Okay.
So on the deduction list, if you're a KW Utah agent, you'll just see like the Mid-Valley Cares and some of those other optional deductions, but there won't be a list of TCs. It's just one thing that the market centers each do differently.
Okay. That's okay. Thank you.
Of course, you bet. Okay, I don't know if it'll let me submit this. Let's see. Okay, so and then here's where you can select if you want to do one of the KWRI donations. Okay, so here it comes back and it kicks me back and says, hey, you were going to do $1,000 outside referral. You never applied that anywhere. So it'll let you know if there is something wrong, and you can come in and fix it. Make sure that you don't just say, oh, well, that looks good and move on, because if this does not say submitted, we didn't get it. So make sure that, so transaction submitted successfully. So I have sent that to my market center and said, hey, I've got a closing coming. This is how it's going to be paid out. Now that's in our projected numbers. We're tracking it. We're waiting for that to close, and we know how it's supposed to be paid out. If you do not get that submitted to Market Center, you need to go back and see what was flagged. And it's probably just balancing. You just have to make sure that you put in the commission overview everything that you're getting from title. And then in commission information and the agent details, you're telling it where you're applying that. And everything you get has to be applied somewhere. So once it's all balanced, then you can submit it. Questions on that? Okay, so if you have submitted this, but I haven't pulled it into our system yet, you're going to see this request termination option. So if this contract cancels and I have this request termination option, I can just hit that, which I'll do because this is a fake contract, so we don't really want it to go into our system. That's going to send me a notification that says, hey, this contract canceled, please terminate this commission request. You can then submit a new one if you need to. If this has already been accepted and pulled into our system, that terminate won't be there. All you need to do at that point is email me and say, hey, Amy, this one canceled. I don't have the termination option. Can you change its status? I can go back in the system and reopen it for you, and then you can go in and make any changes you need. Yes.
Say that you have somebody under contract and it's on net commission, and the sellers pay a certain amount towards buyer repairs or concessions. They decide to pay a certain concession amount. So then the numbers change, although you've already submitted. Is there a way to edit those numbers without requesting? Because in the past,
Yes.
I've always had to request termination and redo it all over again.
There's two ways you can do it. So first of all, you can reach out and say, hey, will you reopen this transaction so I can make a change? I can go in and just change the status to open. It'll let you come in and change numbers and resave it. Or if you come to the notes section here, you can leave Priyanka a note that says, the amount I'm actually getting from title is this amount. All my splits and deductions stay the same. If you're paying deductions on percentages and the amount of the check changes, we're going to need new numbers because we don't want to assume anything. So if there's anything that is percentage specific, then you'll want to have us reopen that and you can redo it. But if it's just like, hey, I thought it was gross and it's net, so my check's $300 short, that's not a big deal. We can just take care of that without you having to resubmit everything. Yes. Yeah. You can put it in a note. Typically, as part of our process, we always check the sales price. And if it's different than what's in there, we like to update it because we want you to get credit for every dollar that you sell. So it's part of our process to check that. But if you give us a heads up, that's great. We appreciate that.
Amy?
Yes.
So now I can do it differently, but I was trying to request a termination the other day because commissions changed. But it won't let me request termination.
If it won't let you request termination, it probably means I've already approved it and brought it into our system. So if you just email me, I can just go in and change that status from approved to open.
Okay. Was that always the case?
If it's already been pulled into, it's a new thing.
Okay.
But if it's already been pulled into the system now, then
That's
it
what
just
happens.
needs a status
Okay,
change.
thanks.
Yeah. Okay, any questions on that? This is probably the most that changed, is kind of just right here. Just make sure you pay attention to any of the little red pop-ups of this isn't balanced or whatever, and you're just gonna make sure every dollar that you're getting in is told where it's gonna go. And then you're gonna be fine. What's cool here is you can now download a transaction summary. And show you what this looks like. This just gives you a summary of everything that you've put in for your opportunity. So you've got all of your key dates, if you entered them in, how everything is being split up. All of this will be on a nice little summary page for you. It's cool. So if you've done your offers and commission tab, that's submitted and approved. All of these are green and approved. You're ready to be paid. When we get that check, if we get it before 1 p.m., we pay it out the same day. It should hit your account the next day. If we get it after 1 p.m., it's paid out the following day and it'll hit your account the following day. But if any of these are rejected or not approved, then we have to make sure that your file is compliant before we pay it out. So if you can come back and check these a few days before closing, make sure everything's nice and green, your commission tab has been accepted, we're gonna be able to get you paid out as quick as possible. Any other questions on that? Let me see if I missed anything on the presentation.
I do have a question, Amy.
Yeah?
You mentioned on the commission tab how to pay just to one agent, but
Oh,
we
yeah.
usually pay to 2 agents.
Sure.
So do we have to add it where? Like
I'll show
another
you. That's a
agent?
great question. Let me open up a different one of these. That's probably the one I was in. Let's get over to the next page here. Okay, we'll put in contract date, close date in the future. I guess that's not even in the future. There we go. Okay, so we'll save that. Okay, so that opens our offers and commissions. So if this is all the same, we'll come down here. This is where you add another agent. So this is defaulting to me getting the whole unit. That's its default setting. If I want to add another agent on here, I just click add agent. Gonna want me to select the agent's name. So let's just, we'll use Tyler again. And here you can put what you're distributing to him. And then if he's getting the bonus or you're getting the bonus, this is where you allocate whatever is being allocated to him. And then you're gonna want his gross agent commission to be his portion of this. So let's say this was a $10,000 commission. Up here in general information, I'm gonna say it's a $10,000 commission. Here, this is gonna say it's a $10,000 commission. Once I come to agent payment, I only have $10,000 to distribute. So here on my side, I can't say that my gross agent commission is $76.20. It's going to be out of balance. So I need to change mine first and say, I'm getting half of this. I'm only taking 5, and then there'll be 5,000 left to distribute to the other agent. So you need to make sure that you adjust the rainmakers first so that there is that leftover commission to then be applied to anybody else on the deal.
And
Does that
do
make
you
sense?
change the agent unit?
Sorry?
Do you change the agent units?
Yes, you can. And then you'd put their total amount here. If they were paying any portion of the referral, whatever they're paying on their side, you would plug in here and hit save, and then it's gonna tell us where all of those dollars should be allocated. So anything they're receiving and anything that they're paying out of their side is all just added to the add agent payment, and then you can just hit save. So if you're the only agent on here, you don't need to worry about that. If you're splitting it with another agent in your market center, has to be within your market center, then you would add them as another agent on the deal.
Okay, thank you.
What other questions do you guys have? Yeah.
Like a different title company and they're asking for a disbursement form. Is that something that we send, or does the market center do it
So typically, so she asked if you're working with a title company and they ask you for a disbursement form, if that's something that we send. So typically in Utah, we don't get asked that because we don't get paid at title. So in other states, we send this DA over to the title company before you close, and they actually cut all the different checks that we do here. They do that for you. So they need to see how it's going to be split. If they want it, we can send them a copy of this, but typically they need that to know how to pay out at the table, and we don't do pay at the table. So it shouldn't typically be something that you need.
Okay, but it'll still be sent. We don't have to physically do it. The market center does it on our behalf.
We don't send it to title, but I haven't had title ever need it before. Because they're just dispersing the commission based on the escrow instructions. They don't really need to know how we're paying it out once we get it. So if a title company wants it, let me know. I can send it to them. I don't know why they'd want it, but they can have it. But typically all that they need is the escrow instructions on how the total commission is going to be split between brokerages. Yeah. Any other questions? Let me make sure we hit all of these little slides in case I forgot anything. It's just, so we created the offer. It's all in one page now. Selecting our listing from the KWLS, adding our offer details, terms and dates. You can put in the earnest percentage or the amount or nothing. Select your closing date. It will give you an error if it's not in the future. You can add any notes and comments for Priyanka and I as we're processing it. You're going to do create and accept offer. That is when it enters our system as a written contract. Let's see. Manage your commission. It's where you get to go in and do all the fun editing. Everything with the asterisk is required. Here's where you can add co-broker information. If you want to put the other side information in, you can edit it. We went through commission information. We went adding outside referral. See here, it does show the referral percentage on the outside referral. I might have to ask them about that. We're still going to training every day so we can ask all of our questions. So I'll see, because it looks like it should exist.
Amy, will these slides be available somewhere? Did you mention that already? Sorry, and I missed it.
No, but I'm happy to send them out to you. Yeah, for sure. Let me know if you want them and I'll send you the presentation.
Yeah, I don't know if I need the actual slides or just a link to know where to access them from a drive or something.
Sure. Yeah, I can get that available for you.
Thank you.
Listing commission, that's your bonus or transaction fee. Agent payment. We talked about distributing all of the unit, adjusting your gross commission to what you're getting from title, adding any outside referrals if applicable. Here's up, if you have a recurring deduction, that will automatically show up. How it's grayed out, that means they can go in and cancel that if they don't want it, but if it's in there and grayed out, it means that that's a recurring. So your question about if I always donate $25 to KW Cares, that's where you would see that. Let's see. So here you can look at your summary. You can add any notes for Priyanka and I. You submit your commission. And then you get paid. And that's what we're all here for, right? Okay. Any other questions on any of this? It's pretty intuitive. I'd say really the biggest thing is just now it's very picky about making sure those commission amounts are balanced. All of the commission that comes in, it has to be told where it all is going to go, or else it's not going to let you save it. So that's probably the biggest change, is if it's not all distributed, it won't let you submit your commission request. Any other questions?
I have one question.
Yeah.
So I went to submit the other day and, just choosing the address, it wasn't showing up in the list of, I work for Amy Gibbons, so
Uh-huh.
it wasn't showing up as one of her listings. It was really strange. All of her other ones were even past the ones that have closed already. So I just, created it and typed it in, but I was just wondering if there's a reason for that or
It's happening regularly. It might be that we need to check her sync between List Hub and our system and make sure everything is being pulled in. If it's once in a while, one or something doesn't show up here and there, then it's probably not too big of a deal. You can just add it in. But if it's
Okay.
something that's happening a lot, then we should look into it and make sure that everything is being fed over properly.
Okay. Yeah, no worries. I just wanted to make sure because I had to create it. It was my first one since the switch.
There's been a lot of, I've helped people through a lot of them because the first one that you go through, odds are something is going to pop up and it's going to look a little different and it's going to take a minute to figure out what you need to change to make it all jive. But it's been pretty easy once you've done it a few times to kind of see what the system is wanting and how it wants it put in, then it's pretty intuitive and it's not too bad.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks so much.
You bet. Any other questions? Yeah, Jamie. If it's, so typically you should know if it's net or gross just based on the MLS listing. She's asking if it's net or gross, if they need to figure that out prior to. So typically you would know that based on the MLS. And so when you put in your projected the sales volume and the commission, it would reflect what you were expecting. If it's off just by that amount, typically we'll reach out to you and be like, hey, Jamie, your commission was like $300 short from what you thought it would be. It was probably a gross net issue. Are we fine to process it? Kind of a thing. But yeah, if you just go off of what, based on the listing, what you think you should be receiving, you'll be fine. Any other questions? Hey, well, we are here for you. If you run into frustrations or issues or anything, please reach out to us. Everything's fixable. Everything's figure outable. That is my motto because I have to use it all the time. So don't worry, we will fix anything and we will figure it out and we will make sure you're taken care of and that you get paid. And this is going to be a great upgrade to our system. All right. Well, thank you everybody for coming, and I will make the slides available. We will have the recording available, and we are teaching this again August 7th at the Mid-Valley office. So if you have more questions and want to come do it again, we can figure stuff out together there as well.
Thanks, Amy.
Thanks, guys. Bye.